Winchester has a wonderful history, and this lovely cathedral here is an example of the vast and amazing history that Winchester contains.
As you can see here, the cathedral is the highest building in the area. Now this comes down to traditional values, where a few hundred years ago, when cathedrals were first built, they would always be the highest building in the surrounding area. So governments and local councils want to keep it this way to kind of keep forward that tradition, and here it really shows and makes a difference.
In 1079, Bishop Walkilin initially commissioned the Winchester Cathedral. Most of the parts were built in 1079, but however there were some extensions not too long ago, where you had the first front part of the building and the rear part of the cathedral. In 676 AD, the seat of the bishop was moved from Dorchester-on-Thames to Winchester, and then in 1079, the Bishop of Walkilin commissioned Winchester Cathedral. It was then further built in the 1300s by another bishop, and it is now currently a lovely cathedral that has been expanded multiple times over many centuries.
As you can see here, this is what remains of the Christmas market. The Christmas market is one of the main tourist attractions for Winchester during Christmas. This is where lots of small shops and small businesses can set up in these small stalls and obviously sell some of their products. This is great for Winchester because it's rebranding itself to be a very popular place where people can buy Christmas gifts and spend a nice time in the city.
This is Silver Hill in Winchester. Silver Hill is the run-down part of Winchester, containing many buildings from the 60s and 70s that are extremely run-down and are in dire need of redevelopment. Silver Hill takes up around 2.3 hectares of space in the centre of Winchester. As you can see, it's extremely run-down and derelict. And so in 2003, Winchester City Council paired up with Thornfield Properties to promote a redevelopment plan for Silver Hill.
They finally got planning consent in 2009. This plan involved 100,000 square feet of retail space. Over here you can see the old offices that this would accommodate. 18,000 square feet of office buildings, a new bus station, and how many houses?
300.
287 new houses, which 35% of them will be affordable.
In 2014, the scheme had been revised to reshape and reflect the following requirements. These were the changes. There will be a reduction in residential units. There will be no office space at all, and Stagecoach saw no need for a new bus station. Awful. However, there will be an increase in private parking space, and there'd also be an increase in retail space.
In 2015, a judge found Winchester City Council guilty for unlawfully accepting the new changes to the 2014 scheme. So this meant that Winchester City Council had to then go back and not allow the 2014 scheme to go ahead. So Thornfield Properties then proposed the 2009 scheme again to Winchester City Council. And by July of 2015, the council had accepted this offer, but it came with massive backlash. The community of Winchester didn't like it, as originally Thornfield Properties cancelled the 2009 scheme because they said themselves that it wouldn't make enough money.
Because of the severe backlash, work on the redevelopment scheme was late to start, and as a result, in February 2016, Winchester City Council decided to vote that they would terminate the entire redevelopment scheme, and this effectively killed the Henderson redevelopment project. In January 2017, Winchester City Council hired a new architect to create a new redevelopment scheme, and this redevelopment scheme was called the Central Winchester Regeneration Project.
Now to the present day, Winchester City Council want the Central Winchester Regeneration Project to have something that's kind of retail heavy, but is still lively, but has the historical aspects that Winchester has. They want it to be, a place where people can shop, but it doesn't feel like a clone town or anywhere else. They want it to be something quite unique, and they're waiting for a business to come and do that.
And this building here is an example of what Winchester wants for its city. They want somewhere that's lively and distinctively feels like Winchester. In 2015, one of Winchester's councillors called Kim Gottlieb created a campaign movement called Winchester Deserves Better. This was extremely popular and it had a march where over 1,000 people attended to show their support against the 2014 redevelopment scheme. They challenged the 2014 redevelopment scheme because Winchester City Council decided to agree it without checking what people's opinions were on it. And because it was so unpopular, it had such an extreme backlash that people decided they wanted none of it. And they got cancelled as a result.